We've been established to support financial institutions and specifically the wealth management space. Been a part of this organization for, it's got to be 10 years now. And I'm just super encouraged about some of the things that we've experienced this over the last couple of days here with the leadership of some of the top firms in the United States. If we can't clearly articulate our why are we doing what we're doing, right? As an organization, as a firm, whether we're selling shoes or selling insurance or talking about wealth management, doesn't matter. That why is the foundation for everything. And the why is the foundation for culture. So what are we doing to create opportunities for the people that are walking this pathway with us, right? What is the purpose behind what we're doing? And that's really the driving culture, I think, for us as a firm, as for an organization, for those of us in leadership at Pinnacle. That's how we think. That's how we see our not just our partners, but also our teams and our staff. And that culture is incredibly important. I mean, listen, I live in Virginia. Our home office is in Jacksonville. I'm back in Jacksonville 7 to 10 days a month, engaging and staying committed to that culture because, I want to be with my partners and my brothers and the people that, that we are doing this with. And so I think, that is an enormous driver for all of this. And I think it's thrown around, but I think it's a word that's okay to throw around. I mean, culture should be thrown around. It is something that we should all talk about because it needs to be front and center. And to me, if you get to the why are you doing what you're doing? And if what you're doing for us, we do what we do because we want to bring value to people, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. How do we create opportunity and bring value to people? And if we're doing that, we're happy. And if we're doing that, we're living in our culture. So we build platforms from the perspective of fixed product distribution for financial institutions, but that's really not the best way to describe exactly what we do. We really are a consulting firm. We engage financial institutions from the perspective of consulting to build out platforms to drive firms into markets maybe that they don't currently work in. At our core, we distribute insurance products, life insurance and annuities and disability and long-term care and all of those things. But we really don't see ourselves as a distribution organization. We really are a marketing firm and a consulting firm for financial institutions. First of all, the insurance industry has had a problem engaging the wealth management space, specifically because of how they communicate, right? And it's really a situation of really listening. And the insurance industry doesn't listen well. And so, this is what we found and what we find. That's why a conference like this is so valuable to a firm like us, to sit in and talk to the leaders of all of these different firms and understand, first and foremost, what are their challenges? How do they communicate? How do their advisors communicate? Right? And our industry doesn't do that. Our industry just jams things into, we just got to sell stuff, right? We have product, we have to distribute it. And the reality is for us, we've always been outside in. And so, what's really, when I mean outside in, is really listening to, okay, first of all, let's understand the culture of the organization. And second, understand how we can deliver value to the end advisor through the institution, and then just trust that value is going to lead to revenue, as opposed to, setting up a call center with a bunch of people banging out phone calls, talking about next product, what's the next product, what's the next product. And so, we've seen that's served us well in this space. And I think part of the challenge is because of how this industry is communicated. It's a hammer looking for a nail. And, wealth management is really more about planning. So we want to deliver resources from a planning perspective. We also want to deliver value, right? And so, the insurance industry is more about so I come into an advisor and I'm trying to extract value from you. How do I find business from you, right? But that's antiquated thinking. So in our universe, it's really more about, let me understand your business, your practice. How do you talk to your clients? How do you engage your clients? What are the challenges you're facing? And then can I bring you a resource to solve those challenges? And full stop. Nothing further. And then when we bring those resources to the table, right, then that leads to revenue. It leads to transactions, but we don't lead with transactions, right? It's planning that leads to transactions. It's not leading with transactions to planning. And that's part of the challenge, I think, that the industry has faced. The other piece of it is from a technology perspective, which, that's a whole nother universe to talk about. I mean, we're in an archaic universe of technology in the life insurance space and in the fixed product distribution space. And I think that's another piece that really needs solving, so that when an advisor does insurance business, it happens in their technological universe. And today, that does not exist. That's kind of a utopia that we're trying to solve for. So many different ways to talk about this, and obviously that is a buzzword. Organic growth, that has been the industry buzzword. And why? Why is it the industry buzzword? Because we are seeing so much consolidation, right? And so consolidation in the industry produces the need for organic growth, because what ends up happening is initially, right, we have this consolidation, so we have this new asset we purchased, and now we have to figure out how do we integrate that asset, what are the efficiencies that we can create with all these different assets that we've purchased to bring into this universe. And then then we have to, once we get the efficiency solved, we have to get to organic growth. And the way that we define it, I really think, honestly, I don't know that there is any other way to define it. It's really two things, very simplistic: new client development and looking at the existing block of business and finding new revenue sources in that existing block of business, right? So there are two ways really to organically grow: new client development and leaning into the existing book of business and finding new revenue sources within that book of business. So as we get more into the advanced strategies, and as we talk with advisors more about how to move up market, right, and to be able to deliver the type of planning capacity and resources for wealthy and the ultra wealthy and the business markets, right? I think part of the challenge that the insurance industry has always faced is that this has been done in a very non-reactive way. So it's essentially like, I'm just going to give you some brochures. I'm going to educate you as a group of advisors. We'll bring it in and we'll talk about, all of these different planning concepts and strategies. And you'll even think about maybe a client that you have that fits within one of these strategies. And typically it ends there, right? So we identify the opportunity. We talk about it. We talk about the planning concept. We educate you on the planning concept, to which you as an advisor have never spoken about this concept at all. And so that's where this thing falls on its face. Because if I give you a shiny brochure and educate you, but I don't give you the team of people to integrate and engage with the client, right, that implementation is the key to all of it. And the insurance industry just sucks at it. I don't know how else to put it. There's no other term to use, right? So when I'm coming in and I make you a shiny brochure and I educate you and I give you an advanced planning attorney that works for an insurance company, and all they'll do is talk to you, the advisor, right? Then it usually stops right there, because the advisor is not going to make the leap to have that conversation with the client without the knowledge that they need to have that conversation. And so if you don't bring the team, typically they see the need, they won't move forward and have that discussion. And so that's part of really been the formative, that's really been the foundation for what we built from a planning perspective. So all of the relationships that we have on the advanced planning side, by design, are not in the insurance business, nor are they employed by Pinnacle. So if you see the landscape of distribution in the insurance space, typically you'll have a firm and they have their advanced markets attorneys and their CPAs and their other people on staff. Well, if we make money when a transaction happens, okay, when a product is transacted. So if I employ an advanced markets attorney, every single conversation he has with the RIA or the advisor is going to be about getting to a transaction, okay? What we recognize in the space that we support is that that's not how they think. That's not how our clients think. They don't want somebody who's trying to nose around in their universe to try to find a sale, right? This has been the problem with the industry. So what we've done is we've created relationships with, national law firms like Holland & Knight or Mendel & Barrett or Wipfli or Marshall Stevens on the business valuation side, and we create all these amazing third-party relationships that we bring to the table that are not in our industry. So it starts with the planning. And every single resource that is available on the advanced planning side from Pinnacle, that's part of our advanced planning offering, all of them will talk to clients. And so those are the two key things. Number one, we try to look at firms or partnerships that are not affiliated to our industry. And number two, firms that are willing to talk to clients. And then it's our job to come in and coordinate all that for the firms and the advisors that we support. I want to be careful about generalizing this response. When we talk about the idea of consolidation or aggregation, in our world, in the insurance distributors world, a firm like us looks at this universe and tries, honestly, if I'm being completely transparent, I'm wondering what is the end game behind all the consolidation, right? It is a challenging thing to integrate assets. So as you go out as a company and purchase different assets, and you buy and you buy and you buy and you buy and you add this huge swath of assets to the platform, then you have to go in there and you have to identify, how do I integrate all of this? Well, while you're doing that, what's happening to your customer? What's happening to your partners? Are you looking at your partners? And that's where I think this thing becomes, really starts to become challenging. I also think the other thing that becomes very difficult is the larger you get, organic growth becomes somewhat of a myth. I don't know how, you get to a certain size of an organization from a revenue perspective, and it becomes almost impossible to organically grow. And so these are the types of things, challenges that we all are going to have to face, and we're all going to have to solve in this industry. I also think it's cyclical, right? So we've seen it before. We've seen consolidation, and then we've seen, a disintegration of that. And so I think it is all cyclical in the space. I think that there's a lot of opportunity. I think that there are firms that are doing it well, but it's those firms that are committed, right, to people. They're committed to culture. They're committed to education. And so, again, very, very interesting times in our space, both in on our side, in the distribution side, and also on the advisory side as well.